Yeah, there's so many things to say about Wendy Williams' decline, but I feel it could rest assured on the fact that she never quite sealed her connection with Divine Holy Spirit. I am a fan of Wendy's. I remember watching her, listening to her on the radio, WBLS, and it was even at a time to where she just came back to the radio station after being fired previously. And the rumor is she was fired because she exposed Diddy at the time. We're talking 15 years ago. And what I will say about Wendy is making the connection to where she exposed demons. That's what she did. Was she liked for it? No. Did she expose a lot of high influential celebrities that had the means to try to off her, get rid of her, but they couldn't? You see, they couldn't, right? You see, she took a lot of L's, but she always bounced back. Is that not our story? Wendy Williams is one of us. She found her niche at that. Like, you have to be spiritually inclined and gifted to be able to segment yourself from the masses to be successful in that lane that others have not traveled in. We have to give this woman her props, her credit. Now, to those who do not have spiritual wisdom and eyes, they look at her as, she caused problems. She exposed people. She's intrusive. She shouldn't talk about people like that. Well, she was talking about people who were doing wrong, who were deceiving others. That's who she talked about, and that's why we tuned in to hear. Who was she talking about? She used to have these blind items, and people would have to guess who the celebrity was. Y'all, she was getting her information, I feel, whether the source was dark or light, she was receiving her information spiritually, but she was always adamant about having ears to the street, meaning she had people that had connections out in the streets that would go to these parties, would go to these homes, would go, sip coffee with these celebrities. They could have been stylists. They could have been publishers, producers, people behind the scenes. But she had a good arsenal of information, and she's never denied that. Another thing she's never denied are her bouts with drug abuse. And I'm learning about the alcoholism. Even though I was a fan for many years, I didn't know about the alcoholism. Is that not like a story that a lot of us share? Not that we abuse drugs, and maybe you did. We're trying to do what it is that we feel we're supposed to do, but we're met with so much blockage. But that blockage comes from the exposure of others. We try to stay in our lane and do what we do, but who's getting mad? Who's really mad here? Those who are in fear of being exposed because they know it's coming. I would say about Wendy with, seeing clips of her documentary that's coming up, I believe this weekend on Lifetime. It's like just seeing her in that decrepit state and form is very disheartening. I remember I shared with you all a dream I had about her, to where we were in like a little party, a little like nestled like daytime networking event or whatever it was. I don't know. I was there, but I literally picked Wendy up, or somehow she ended up on my back. Like I literally was carrying her around this party to get her to a safe place, which I eventually did, and sat her down and stayed with her. And then to see her later on where she looks like she's unable to move about, in the documentary, she's in a wheelchair. She's being wheeled around. We know she's battled Graves' disease. We know about the thyroid disease. And we're learning about the frontal dementia, which just came out. With Wendy, I feel like what happened is she never solidified her connection to Divine Holy Spirit. That's one. I remember watching her television show. She said it on TV. I was watching it live. She seemed like she was trying to make like a statement about being closer to God, but she never said God, or either it took her a while to say it. Cause I'm like, why? I remember feeling like, why can't she just say God? Why can't she just say the word? That's been playing in my mind this morning about, why was that so difficult for her? I told y'all she's been on my spirit. So I just feel like I have to release something even myself. But I feel like she possibly was going through a dark night of the soul. This was before the break of her marriage to Kevin with the side chick and all that, before losing her talk show. This was way before all of that. I don't feel like Wendy ever like publicly made that confession that, she served God and God is the only one she served. Not that she should have said all of that, but it's like she didn't make the distinction for us and possibly not even for herself. I feel like for her to receive the information that she received and then follow through on the street, she was spiritually inclined. We'll say that. I also feel like her husband was spiritually inclined, but he was more on the dark side. I also feel Kevin Hunter was her handler. She may have even been afraid to even move away from him or divorce him or whatever because he controlled the purse strings. He made the moves. I remember they were talking about her staff of the TV show behind the scenes, how he was a tyrant. He was the one that was, like in the King of Swords reverse energy, but it was like, well, Wendy is the talent. You know what I mean? So that's why I said Kevin possibly was her handler in that he also indulged in witchcraft, but his witchcraft is natural. I feel like we've all met this person. We've probably even shared a life with someone like this. Like it just comes natural with them, but they just use it for the wrong purposes. Like they have the gift, it's just reversed, we'll call it that. So with Wendy, she never fully confessed or joined union with divine Holy Spirit, amassing wealth. Like that was her whole thing, but I feel like that was her God. And then I just think about all the many times they tried to get rid of Wendy, so that lets me know that she was possibly always fighting against spell work. But I feel like she would have been someone who would have possibly traveled overseas to go get things done. She would have gone to visit practitioners, but for some reason, there was some sort of backfire that happened for her. And I feel like she lowered her vibration just enough to where they were able to come in and do the job. So that could be what we're hearing about with her dementia. Nobody can really tell you how dementia even comes about, but I feel like with her battling the thyroid illness, Graves' disease, she started having all of these like physical things happen in her body. That was a sign right there. The side chick from South Carolina, the Selena, whatever her name is, I feel like she also practices or would pay practitioners. I just picked that up strongly. And then also just Kevin being a warlock. I really feel like he just misused and abused his powers for the sake of riches, but he did it off of Wendy's back. Oh, another thing was watching clips from the documentary with Black China. I know everybody's fawning over that moment, how China was so sweet with her, but China was there to be able to get in the will. Because there's an emphasis on all of the Chanel. Chanel popped up in my dream last night. Just the jewelry, whatever it is that China would have gotten her name entered in on Wendy's will, China went in to secure that. That's what I feel about that moment. My heart goes out to Wendy naturally because I feel like she was one of us. She was exposing demons, and I feel like she possibly just lost some sort of protection because she never quite claimed her relationship with divine Holy Spirit, God, Jesus, whoever you want to call. It's sad. But what are y'all thoughts about this Wendy Williams decline? Because that was a quick decline. Stuff like that has to make someone notice that that's not natural. That's not a natural occurrence that happened to her.